In this video tutorial, I'm going to walk you through using the Google Takeout option as a way to export lots of data all at once from your NC State Google account. So the first thing you want to do is open up a web browser, and you're going to go to takeout.google.com. Now, of course, you need to be logged in to your NC State Google account in order to make this happen. Once you're logged in and you get to the Takeout homepage, you'll see that 46 of 47 services have been selected for export. Let's go ahead and just click the Deselect All button just below it, and now you see 0 of 47 are selected. This lets us go in and customize just what we want to export. Now, for the purposes of the Google cleanup, there are only a handful of things we're really interested in pulling together. That's our Google Drive data, that's our Google Photos data, and our Google email. Let's start. So as we scroll down through this list, you can see lots of data that is captured about you by Google. For example, your calendar, your Chrome bookmarks, any classic sites you have. But let's keep going down to Google Drive. When we get to Google Drive and click it, you'll see that 3 buttons appear for us. One says multiple formats, and this helps us determine how files that are in a Google-specific format will be exported once we click the Takeout button. So anything that's a Google Doc can become either a PDF or a Word document. PowerPoint documents for slides, again, you can do PDF, and then the same for spreadsheets. If you have a Google Sheet, you can make it an Excel sheet or a PDF. And then for anything that you have in a image, like a drawing, you can make that a PDF or a JPEG. All forms are going to be downloaded as a zip file, and anything that's a Jamboard will be exported as a PDF. And then any sort of Google scripts that you have will be exported in a JSON format that allow you to re-import that. Okay? The default settings are usually pretty good there. The next thing we're going to look at is advanced settings, and we can include a bunch of different information here. I honestly don't mess with any of this, I just leave it unchecked. And then you can go into the All Drive. Now, by default, everything in your My Drive is selected. You'll notice that this does not include anything in your shared drives, and that's because there is no takeout service for shared drive. As a result, we're going to go in here and take a look. We can uncheck this Include All and deselect all if we have individual folders that we want to export. This is really handy if you want to target your cleanup just of specific areas in your My Drive so that you get an archive of those things, validated on your computer that you have the files you want, and then you can go into Google Drive and just click Delete. Super easy way to do that all at once. Now, if you want to grab everything, you certainly can. In this case, I'm just going to grab a couple of things out of here. I'm going to grab some Screencastify recordings that I have. I'm going to get VLAN information, some Zoom backgrounds that I have, and I'm going to grab these meeting reports. And we'll click OK. All right, so that's Google Drive. I can now continue to scroll down, and I get to Google Photos. Let's check that. Again, we can see how everything will be exported. So videos will come out in the original format or MP4. It just depends on the quality that was selected when it was uploaded, and the same is true with your photos. So if you uploaded raw photos, you're going to get raw photos back. If you did PNG or JPEG when you were uploading, or even WebP, those will export as is. We can again select all or none. I'm going to go ahead and select all of my photos to bring those down. And we keep scrolling down, and we get to Mail. We click on multiple formats. We see that we're going to get this as an MBOX file. Now, an MBOX file is opened natively using the Apple Mail application, or it can be opened using the Thunderbird Mail application, which is a piece of free open source software that you're able to download. Again, the default is to include everything in your mail, but you may not want to do that. You may want to just include certain labels so that you can come in here and select just that label. So perhaps you want to select just this archived label, or you want to select another label in here, a broadband survey label. I'm going to click OK. So I have 7 labels selected here. We scroll all the way to the bottom at this point, and now we click on our next step. From here, we can export this once, which is a singular one-time only export. We can export it every 2 months for a year, so if you wanted to get exports regularly, you certainly could. We're just going to do it once. And then we want a link sent to us via email, and we'll have a week to download the files after we get that. We can accept those files in either a tar zip or in a .zip. I recommend that you just use the .zip. That's the easiest. And then you can chunk it into any file size you want. So if you have lots of files and lots of data, you might want to make this maybe 4 gig. But as you make it larger, that creates an even longer download and increases the potential that you might have some file corruption depending on how long it takes to download on your computer. I'm just going to move it to 4. So again, zip files larger than 2 are compressed in zip 64. Older systems might not be able to open it. Your file should be able to be opened by an NC State computer that has been issued to you. And we'll click Create Export. Okay? This process can take a long time, possibly hours or days to complete. You'll receive an email when your export is done. And that's exactly right. In some cases, I've seen this take 2 or 3 days to complete. Some cases, I've seen it finish in an hour or 2. I didn't select a whole lot of data to be exported here, so I think it'll be done pretty quickly. But again, everything varies on both Google's compute availability and also on the amount of data that you have selected for export. Once that's completed, you'll receive an email from Google notifying you that you can download your files. You'll be taken to a website where you're able to select the individual files that you wanted exported and pull those down to your computer for storage in some other format or for archival purposes using another tool like perhaps a NAS storage drive. Or if it's personal files, you can certainly use that to migrate to another service. With that, you now know how to use Google Takeout. Congratulations!